Good morning to you. You're watching Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga Munchetty.
Let's see what's coming up on the programme. This Stop with the GP. Have a good day there. It's always interesting just hearing, as we always say, how it's going to work out in practice.
Interesting, yeah, and we'll keep being updated by our regular GPs as well as they kind of figure out the logistics of it all as well. Let's talk to Mike.
Now 6:47. It's weather time on a Friday morning, and Matt's in charge of all the details this morning.
That is a very moody backdrop.
Time now is 6:51.
Children should be at home. That was the message from the Wales Education Minister when she announced all secondary school lessons would go online from the end of today.
It's in an effort to control the surge of coronavirus cases in Wales, where the number of infections has doubled in the last 12 days.
We can talk now to our correspondent, Mark Hutching. Home today for all the school children, secondary school children in Wales.
And as you say, head teachers got another thing to conjure with now. Thank you very much.
Also, really feel for the pupils as well. It's been such a disruptive year through no fault of their own, but now being sent to go back home, and also families having to consider childcare, but also considering, well, if at least if they're home and they can isolate, perhaps families can be together for Christmas with older, members of the family as well, keeping them safe.
And those responsibilities on the parents now, once again, to try and make sure their youngsters are studying at home, which, as we all know, in practice can sometimes be a challenge.
Traumatic. I think you talk to any of the parents in this newsroom, they've really struggled with it. It's a typical story. Find out what's happening wherever you are this morning with the news, travel and weather, and at 7 o'clock we'll have the headlines for you.
Yeah, there'll be many, many generations of people who knew Barbara Windsor at different stages of her career. You saw so many of them there. You saw from the 60s and 70s, the Carry On films, so much more recently to EastEnders. Just a couple more lines, very moving words from her husband, Scott Mitchell, in his statement.
Now is 5 minutes past 7. Secondary school pupils in parts of London, Essex and Kent will be offered mass testing in an effort to control the spread of coronavirus.
We can speak to our correspondent, Tim Muffthorpe. If the head teacher's still with you there, on a technicality, can these secondary school pupils go to school if they haven't had a test? Are they required? Is it a requirement of going into the classroom?
Should say we will talk about the issue of testing in Wales and, of course, Brexit. We're talking to the Culture Minister, Oliver Dowden, Culture Secretary Oliver Dowden, at 7:30, so in about 20 minutes.
Let's talk about Brexit now. Boris Johnson says there's now a strong possibility of leaving the EU's single market and customs union without a trade deal.
The Prime Minister says he's willing to talk to EU leaders at any time, but has warned the public and businesses to be prepared for a no-deal scenario. Our political definitely shifting, doesn't it? The language that we've heard that efforts are still going to be made